And viewers, after Vistara, there is crew trouble that is forcing another Tata Group airline, Air India Express, to cancel over 80 flights from Tuesday night until Wednesday morning. The international and domestic flights were cancelled after about 300 senior cabin crew members reported mass sick leave at the last minute and switched off their mobile phones, halting the operations. Now, Air India Express issued the statement saying, and I quote, "A section of our cabin crew has reported sick at the last minute, starting last night, resulting in flight delays and cancellations. While we are engaging with the crew to understand the reasons behind these occurrences, our teams are actively addressing this issue to minimize any inconvenience caused to our guests as a result. Passengers affected by the cancellations will be offered a full refund or the option to reschedule their flights to another date," unquote. Now, this is the statement. The Tata Group Airlines cancelled and delayed scores of flights from several airports, including Delhi, Kochi, Calicut and Bangalore. The announcement led to a state of confusion and distress among the affected travellers, who congregated around the airline's counter, visibly upset over cancelled flights and demanding explanations, refund or rescheduling of flights. So this is what has happened.
Actually, our flight was yesterday 10:30. We came here at 7:30 like that, but we wait for here till more than 6 hours. But the flight was cancelled. We are inside the airport for 6 to 7 hours. We didn't get any water, anything, nothing we get in.
Actually, I'm supposed to fly today at 8:30 to Muscat. I came here at 5 o'clock in the morning. Then I came to know it was cancelled. So then I fight with them so much. Then finally I got the ticket for tomorrow.
मैं भी एक दिन के लिए दिल्ली आया था जी, और कोई सोशल एंगेजमेंट थी घर में, तो सुबह जाना था, तो मैं भी अभी 3-4 घंटे अंदर बैठ के वापस जा रहा हूँ और एक और फ्लाइट से जा रहा हूँ, इंडिगो से जा रहा हूँ। मैं वैसे ज़िंदगी में कभी एयर इंडिया से नहीं जाता हूँ। जब सिविल एविएशन मिनिस्टर था तो तब हड़ताल हो गई थी 40 दिन के लिए, और हमने फिर ये प्राइवेट एयरलाइंस लाए थे। तो हम सोच रहे थे कि अब सबक कुछ मिलेगा, लेकिन कोई सबक इनको मिलता नहीं है। और कैंसिल हो गई तो सुबह ही बताना था कैंसिल हो गई। बेवकूफ़ क्यों बनाना सबको? बेचारे हज़ारों लोगों को भी अभी आधे घंटे बाद जाएगी, आधे घंटे बाद जाएगी, आधे 4 घंटे से, और अभी जाएगी नहीं। मुझे नहीं लगता ये जाएगी।
Now, the Ministry of Civil Aviation has asked Air India Express to submit a report regarding the cancellation of flights and has asked it to resolve these issues promptly. The ministry is asking the airline to ensure facilities to passengers as per DGCA norms. Now, remember, there are senior cabin crew of Air India Express. They're up in arms over the new employment terms, alleging that the airline is being mismanaged and there is lack of equality in treatment of the staff. Not only this, on 1st of April, Vistara cancelled more than 100 flights as pilots reported sick en masse. Now, this is what has been happening when it comes to the airline. And we also have Vipul Saxena, aviation expert, joining us. I'm sure you're tracking what's happening, possibly one of the most confusing and chaotic issues to hit Air India Express. When cabin crew has gone on mass sick leave, they do have issues, they're talking about it, but the larger question that everyone is asking is, why should a passenger suffer? If you could break this down, what does this mean for the passenger and what does this mean for the airline?
Thank you, Sagarika, to call me for this meeting. You have to give me some time because this is not a situation in isolation. There is a much larger picture which has to be understood. In fact, when this Tata took over Air India, even that time I wrote a very detailed article, and I anticipated these kind of problems coming up in Air India because dealing with 3 different type of airlines. One, the major one is coming from the PSU background, and joining them with the private airlines. I mean, there is a huge cultural difference. There's a huge employment rules difference. There's a huge people policy difference. And this is a major issue because airline industry is people-centric industry. People, run industry like IT industry, where you have educated people, talented people, but they work like a worker by hand. and the whole industry productivity and output
Mr.
depends on the
Saxena,
people.
I will have to interject you there and we will actually come in and take some more insights from you. But do stay with us. We have a lot of callers today who are calling us and who are telling us about the problems that they are facing. The first caller calling us today is Venkateshan and he's from Bangalore. Good evening, Venkateshan. You are following what's happening. Have you also been troubled by the cancellation of last-minute cancellation of flights of Air India Express?
Hi, good afternoon. Good evening. I think, you should take more calls on the Sam Pitroda issue because even in the Air India case, if you take his advice or his comment, Sam uncle will say something like...
No, but right now, Mr. Venkateshan, we are talking about the issue at hand right now is about, the Air India issue. And if you face some trouble, please do let us know. I'll have to take another caller who's just called in. His name is Saksham. And Saksham is calling us from Visakhapatnam. Good evening, Saksham. Have you been troubled by this entire crew turbulence that has currently hit Air India Express? What are your issues? Please tell us.
Ma'am, it is very unforgettable incident. The persons who have standed over there with kids, elderly persons and all, it is very punishable. It will be a hell for the passengers who are standing there. I request the Honorable Prime Minister and the Indian government to immediately take action on this. It can't be entirely on mass sick and all those things. The crew is not there, they are not available and all those things. Something has happened. A thorough investigation should be carried out.
Absolutely. Thank you, Saksham, for getting us. And you've seen that kind of angry reaction that's coming in from the common passenger who's having to suffer because of these last-minute cancellations. Airports seem to be turning into protest sites with passengers queuing up, demanding answers from the airline. Bina is joining us from Ghaziabad. Bina, are you also a victim of this last-minute cancellation?
No, I was not traveling. It's my sister-in-law who was traveling. She was going from Delhi to Cochin. And she left home at 8:30 in the morning to catch the 11:30 flight. But then, it was cancelled and she got the flight only now at 4:20. It must have taken off. I spoke to her just now. And, at least they should tell us, inform the passengers that, the flight is cancelled. So at least they can be at home instead of being stranded at the airport. There should be some kind of a system in place.
Absolutely.
Because they knew that the flight is cancelled. At least inform everybody's telephone number is there, isn't it? They must be having it in the system. At least try to send a message or WhatsApp or whatever type of a communication you want to do. Send it to them so that at least they can be at home and they keep updating. And there'll be less stressful times for the passengers.
And Bina, this is exactly what multiple people who have been calling in are telling us, that why didn't you inform us? Why this last minute information? Because everyone knows that if you have to go catch a flight, you have to at least leave 2 hours before your flight takes off. So the passenger is really, really hassled. Thank you for joining in today on this call-in show. Nanubai Mehta is also calling us and he's from Thane. Mr. Nanubai, your thoughts on this tarmac trouble that has hit Air India Express?
I would like to suggest that Tatas have a sterling reputation of organizing. It always takes time for cultures to assimilate. Now, the Air India was earlier with the public sector, where the people were not used to work properly. And, we all knew earlier in Congress times what kind of corruption was going on. Now, Tata is trying to bring it down. So there are initial hiccups. I would suggest that the people should understand this is a turbulence time, and I think cooperate, At the same time, I do agree one point, that if at all they find this kind of thing, let them inform the people, so that they can take it. But I have no doubt whatsoever that Tata ultimately will settle down, and all these people who are not used to work doing Air India, I think they will come down to their senses.
Okay, so Mr. Mehta, coming in with a divergent view from the other callers and going across to Vipul Saxena, he was actually, I apologize for interjecting. We have multiple callers calling us today, and you know how people's voice matters on an issue which has to do with the public. So, Mr. Vipul Saxena, the team was telling us that you were not in agreement to what our previous caller said. If you could explain.
Yes. Though I respect public sentiment, but I don't agree with the previous caller, because what I was trying to say is that Air India now is a corporate, it's a private organization. So I feel there was a total lack of due diligence on the part of people issues when this Air India was taken over by Tata's. I think they have only done the financial due diligence, that how much profit we can make, but they have not done any kind of due diligence on people's issues, HR issues. That is why they're facing these problems. They should have definitely done a detailed study that once we take Tata PSU on board, and then we have Vistara with us and AirAsia with us, then how this whole resources can be optimized. And that is what financially they must have done the study, that we'll have so many extra aircraft, so many extra employees. So cost-wise, they must have done optimization study, but they must have not done any kind of HR study, that how culturally and how people systems will be married and merged to make this airline really become one of the best airlines in the world. So I think there's a total lack of strategical vision on the part of Tata management, and we are still not late, because it's a huge resources which can be really made good for the India to become one of the biggest airlines to hold.
Right.
And the kind of passenger traffic increasing CAGR basis, I think we are losing a big business as an economy. So I think Tata must totally rehash, do restructuring of the top management, bring people who really understand airline business, because airline business is not a profitable business as a basic model. It runs on a very, very low margin.
So as an aviation expert today, Vipul Saxena, they're coming in with his views, weighing in, telling you about what this actually means. He also has a message to the Tatas, and you've heard that. Thank you, Mr. Vipul Saxena, for joining us. Multiple callers today calling in on Times Now, telling us about what they think of this entire mess that has been created. We'll have to take a short break here, but we'll be back. Stay tuned.